Domonique Bijon, and you're watching Boudoir Bedtime Stories. On this channel, you'll hear original short stories about love and life and everything in between. Stories will be fictional or factual, or completely, totally derived from my imagination, or a mix. Either way, I hope you enjoy, and I hope you get a good night's rest. Tonight I'm going to be reading Unlikely Surprises in Love. Enjoy. Eyes like the midnight reflection of the ocean, just barely lit by a waning crescent moon, mesmerizing, mysterious, deep, and infinite. Like individual waves being swallowed by the ocean in its entirety. Images of his eyes had swallowed her whole. Unable to escape, not even in slumber, Brooklyn broke her no-contact notion and sent Denzel a text message that read, "Send me those pictures of us." At 5:45 a.m., Brooklyn lay awake in her bed, just barely separated from her dreams. Awake before the sun, the light from her cell phone screen lit her brown, freckled face as she awaited Denzel's response. 3 dots appeared on her screen in their text message thread for a few moments and then disappeared. Brooklyn waited a few more moments. No response. She rolled back over to catch another hour of sleep before dragging herself out of bed and getting ready for work. Brooklyn lived alone in her 2-bedroom high-rise apartment. She was a humble girl with a hankering for the finer things in life, so she worked hard. At 6:45 a.m., Brooklyn was up brushing her teeth and washing her face. As she moisturized, she heard an alert from her phone. She peeked over and saw that it was her cousin Angel. The beginning of the text message read, "Can you please bring ... Brooklyn looked away immediately. Brooklyn was practicing boundary setting because when her loved ones asked her to jump, she would say how high. Before breakfast, no less. Brooklyn finished readying herself and before locking the door to her house, recited out loud, phone, keys, wallet, briefcase, ensuring that she had all of her things and locked the door behind her. When Brooklyn pulled into the parking lot of the middle school where she worked, she heard a honk from one of her former students' father, hollering, "Good morning, Miss B. You're looking mighty radiant today." To which Brooklyn responded, "Good morning, Mr. Woods. I appreciate you. Have the day you deserve." Perplexed yet grateful, Mr. Woods smiled from ear to ear and drove away. The sounds of children laughing, cars honking from the carpool drop-offs, and the bell ringing were no distraction from what interrupted Brooklyn's sleep earlier that morning. With every step Brooklyn took down the crowded main hallway toward her classroom, she still couldn't escape the flashing images of Denzel's eyes. She arrived at her classroom, put her things down next to her desk, then checked her phone again before starting class, and still no response from Denzel. When Brooklyn thought of Denzel, she visualized his beautiful face, which was like perfectly melted dark chocolate morsels. She thought of his perfectly proportioned muscles and a smile that could light up the city. She thought of how sensitive he was, his confidence, intelligence, and ambition. She also loved how phenomenal of a father he was. Brooklyn was impressed with how impactful Denzel was as a pillar in his community, while in the same breath, she knew to maintain her own healthy boundaries with him. These boundaries were necessary because he was also a smooth talker, emotionally unavailable, and at times selfish, which made him difficult to connect with much of the time. However, what spoke to her spirit the most, more so than his eyes, was that this man was warm, like a hug on a summer Sunday in Inglewood, California, with Nipsey playing all through the streets without a worry in the world. After working yet another long night shift at the hospital, an exhausted Denzel removed his work badge from a blood-stained shirt and went to clock out. On his way out, he saw a text message from a woman he hadn't heard from in a while, Brooklyn. Denzel saw the beginning of the text message that read, "Send me those pictures, ... Denzel's heart rate quickly increased and he began to stiffen in his pants. He took a breath, collected himself, and dismissed it, thinking that she was just on demon time, trying to use him again for his body parts. He took a deep breath, collected himself, and dismissed it, thinking that she was just on demon time, trying to use him for his body parts again. Denzel thought to himself, "I'm too exhausted to be playing mind games with this girl," and jumped into his Tesla Model X and drove to his bachelor pad in Los Angeles. Denzel pulled into his driveway, parked his car, and began to roll a fat blunt before getting out. As he rolled up, he turned on his latest R&B playlist. Denzel's lighter flickered a few times before he was able to get a quality pull, then rolled his rear windows down just slightly and placed his seat back a few inches to relax. Song after song, he was reminded of Brooklyn. Melodies played and images of her silhouette flashed across his mind. Lyrics to love songs brought visions of them together, smiling at each other from opposite ends of a beach blanket next to a blazing bonfire. Just the two of them. Denzel picked up his phone and read the message from Brooklyn in its entirety. "Send me those pictures of us," it read. Since it had been a few weeks since Denzel had heard from Brooklyn, he thought that simply sending her photos would be going too easy on her. After some thought, Denzel replied, "Let me take you to the beach this evening and I'll airdrop the photos of us to you instead." Denzel was eager to spend time with Brooklyn, but refused to allude to anything of the sort. The school bell rang for lunch at 12:05 p.m. As Brooklyn's fourth period class of 7th graders stampeded toward the cafeteria, she noticed that she had a new text message alert from Denzel. Brooklyn did not want to seem desperate, so she sat and ate her cold tuna sandwich and crunchy potato chips before opening the message. Upon finishing, Brooklyn squinted her eyes and read the text message. "Let me take you to the beach this evening and I'll airdrop the photos of us to you instead." "This fucking guy," Brooklyn murmured under her breath. though Brooklyn's tuna-filled stomach suddenly began to fill with butterflies. She was excited and nervous, and even a little desperate, but she played it cool. Brooklyn responded, "I can let you know if I'm available in about an hour." Denzel knew the game that Brooklyn was playing because he had played this game many times before. He responded, "Beautiful girl, I will see you at 7 p.m. Bring an extra blanket if you have one." Brooklyn immediately responded, "Fine, LOL." At that moment, Brooklyn spun around in her chair at her desk and found herself suddenly on the floor, smiling and injury-free. Due to how Brooklyn and Denzel had come together, neither of them fully trusted one another. Brooklyn very briefly dated one of Denzel's friends. She met them both at the same time, but the cookie crumbled toward the friend first. Denzel briefly dated a mutual friend of theirs, but refused to tell Brooklyn who that mutual friend was. They both know that because of their past connections, it was taboo to be involved with one another, so they each harbored some distrust. This ultimately led to their unstable back-and-forth situationship over the past 6 months. Ding ding! Brooklyn saw that she received a follow-up text message from her cousin Angel, so she picked it up to see what she needed. The initial text message from Angel read, "Can you please bring a pregnancy test by the house for me on your way home? I can't keep anything down." Brooklyn's eyes began to widen and her armpits were suddenly hot. The second text message read, "Brooklyn, I know that I'm always asking for so much, but can you please come by the house later on? I really need you. Also, can you stay with me until I read the results? Please," she wrote in all caps. Brooklyn's inner dialogue began to run rampant. "But baby, you don't even have a man. Whose baby is it? And why can't that motherfucker bring you a pregnancy test? I'm trying to get to Denzel ASAP. Hell, my girl probably don't even know who the damn daddy is. Fuck. Granny gonna be mad as shit." Class is dismissed, everybody. Y'all have a blessed weekend. Science projects are due on Monday as soon as you walk into my classroom. Brooklyn shouted to make sure that she was heard over all of the moving, shaking, and shuffling. Brooklyn picked up her phone, let out a deep ancestral sigh, and responded to Angel with, "Okay, dang. This is the last time, though. Okay, dang. This is the last time, though. You steady traumatizing me with all of these schmortion procedures. But yeah, girl, I'll stay with you. I love you. I'll see you soon." After 2 hours of listening to back-to-back melodies that reminded Denzel of Brooklyn's warmth, he made a decision that he would do things differently later that night. Denzel could hardly deny the feelings that he had developed for Brooklyn. He examined the situation with both his head and his heart. She's so funny, so smart. She smells like heaven. Cooking tastes like heaven. Kitty tastes like heaven too. She listens to me. She seems like she gives a fuck about me. But maybe it's all a facade? Nah, I'm tripping. That's a good woman. I can feel that shit in my motherfucking chest. And these last few weeks without her have literally been agonizing. Goddamn, what does this shit mean for real? I know it ain't what I think it is. Fuck! Denzel shouted. Brooklyn was walking through the women's intimate products section at the pharmacy and grabbed some feminine wipes for herself, just in case she would not be able to make it home before meeting Denzel. Brooklyn noticed that the pregnancy tests weren't there, so she went to the next aisle. Boom! Here we go, pregnancy tests. Right next to the damn condoms. This is probably why my girl sent me here. Clearly, she ain't never been down this motherfucking aisle before a day in her life. Let me get up out of here. Brooklyn paused. Brooklyn turned around and grabbed those skin-like condoms. The big ones. And thought to herself, just in case a motherfucker wanna try me tonight. Brooklyn proceeded to check out. On the way to her car, Brooklyn texted Denzel, "Hey, I'm not sure if I'll be able to get home and change before making my way to you. I don't have a blanket or a coat with me. Sad face emoji in this bitch." Denzel responded with, "No problem, babe. I can bring you a warm jacket and I'll find an extra blanket. I got you." Brooklyn read the text message and gave a suspicious squint. Babe, she thought. The fuck type of shit is he on today? Oh my God. All right then, black man. I'll see you in a bit, she replied. Damn, I'm giving bro vibes. Sends red heart emoji, not the blue one. Meanwhile, Denzel was back at his place, making sure that he himself was spick and span from the rooter to the tutor, and from head to toe. It was approaching 7 p.m., so both Brooklyn and Denzel hightailed it down the 405 to make it to Manhattan Beach. Excited to get to one another, they both made it to the beach just before 7 o'clock. Simultaneously, Brooklyn and Denzel received a text message that read, "I'm here, where you at?" They met each other near where the bathrooms were because Brooklyn has an unpredictable bladder. Brooklyn looked at Denzel and smiled from ear to ear, arms wide open, and made her way into Denzel's arms. Denzel took a deep breath, gently pushed Brooklyn away while still holding her arms, gave her a gentle grin, gazed into her maple brown eyes, and said, "Hi, beautiful girl." They embraced again, this time tighter and longer, for what seemed like 600 seconds. Brooklyn felt safe. Denzel felt rescued. They held hands and walked barefoot in the sand toward the moonlit ocean. Denzel laid down a blanket on the sand, sat down, and invited Brooklyn to sit between his legs, as it was cold and windy. Brooklyn obliged. The two exchanged mundane updates on life happenings over the past few weeks. There was a moment of silence, then Brooklyn said, "Well, can I have what I came for?" With a look of surprise, Denzel turned to her and asked, "Here? On the beach? I mean, it's pretty empty, but here?" Brooklyn replied with, "No, silly, you're supposed to airdrop me the photos I requested." Oh, my bad. Yes, here you go." Brooklyn looked over the photos. All she could do was smile, and then said, "Thank you, love." Denzel had his gaze fixed on Brooklyn's untamed hair and right-sided chin dimple and said to her, "Can you look at me? I want to tell you something." Nervously, Brooklyn turned and fixed her gaze back on him. After a moment of only the sound of waves crashing, Denzel said, "I love you, girl. I just do. I don't want to be going through each season, each year, or throughout life experiencing you in a bite-sized kind of way. I want you with me. Can we do that? Can I have you with me?" Brooklyn was surprised at the statement, and although flooded with emotions, she allowed her heart to speak for her. "Yes, Denzel. You can have me with you. I would love that. I don't wish to go through each season without those eyes looking back at me. Eyes like the midnight reflection of the ocean, just barely lit by a waning crescent moon. Mesmerizing, mysterious, deep, and infinite. Denzel, I love you too." The end. Well, that's all for now. I really hope that you enjoyed my story. I hope that you feel a little bit more relaxed and can really enjoy a peaceful night of slumber. And I want to thank you for allowing me to be a part of your bedtime routine. I hope to see you back here in 2 weeks, as I will be dropping stories bi-weekly. Let me know if you enjoyed the story tomorrow when you wake up. I don't know about you, but I really enjoyed our time together. I really did, and I hope that we can do it again, I'm super grateful that you allowed for me to be a part of your bedtime routine, and I really hope to see you again soon. I really hope you get your REM sleep in tonight. Hopefully, I did something good for you. And I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be a part of your bedtime routine. If you liked my story, if you liked the video, give me a thumbs up on the video or a comment. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down or still comment. Let me know. I like honesty. I like it a lot. Okay. Until next time, thank you for joining me in the boudoir. Good night.